watched a 60-minute interview with President Trump last night, and then I read about 7 in the morning the entire transcript that CBS posted. I got to tell you, it was so convoluted and all over the place that I'm sitting there and I go, maybe it's me, but I didn't learn one thing, nothing from that interview. And I think the interview ran more than an hour. Didn't run that long on TV, but the transcript, there's a lot of stuff that they didn't air. And I'm going, what's going on? So it's my job to tell you what's going on, and I will. And I'm not trying to be petty or criticize Norah O'Donnell, the CBS correspondent. I don't want to do that. But I got to be honest. I mean, I'm looking, I'm watching, it's my time, and I'm trying to learn something, and I'm not learning. Now, if you disagree, if you did learn something, I will read your letter tomorrow. Bill at BillOReilly.com. Name in town, as always, but Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. It could be me, been in the business 50 years, so maybe I'm just way out of touch with, the regular discourse. So the interview is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. I picked out 5 or 6 short sound bites, short 30 seconds or so, because the repetition was numbing. It was numbing. And again, I'm not trying to blame anybody here. I'm going to explain what was happening, that Donald Trump goes into an interview, and you got to pin him down with specifics. You got to hit him with stuff he's not expecting. Not because you want to gotcha him, all right? It's because you're not going to get anything if you ask predictable questions and he gives predictable answers that he's given 100 times before. He's got all that in. And he anticipated there wasn't going to be anything out of the usual. Okay? It was obvious from the very beginning. So the government shut down, and there's some news today that the feds will start to fund the food stamps shortly. Specifics have not been released, but that money is going to start to flow. And it should, and I'll tell you why in a little while. Not to everybody, there's a lot of fraud in that, but there's a lot of need in that too. Okay, so we got to be very careful here. But anyway, the shutdown was obviously in play. It's breaking news. Here's what happened. Go.
Here's what I can't do. I can't give them $1.5 trillion so that they can give welfare to people that came into our country illegally, so that prisoners and that people from mental institutions and people that are drug dealers get vast amounts of money for health care. That I can't do.
So
what I can do is I can continue to run a great country. We have the best economy we've ever had.
All right. So there is some truth to what the president is saying, and I don't care if Chuck Schumer lies all day long. There is money rooted in Democratic states through Medicaid to illegal aliens. All you got to do is look at the budget for the state of Oregon. It's there, right? Black and white. $1.5 million earmarked for undocumented people through Medicaid. That's tax money. That's federal tax money given to Oregon by the feds. The Trump is right about that. But overall, it's a complicated situation. But the Republican Party is never going to give the Democratic Party a carte blanche to keep rising the costs of Obamacare. And, I wrote a column on BillO'Reilly.com. If it's got all the stats. How when Obamacare was passed, here was the number the Congressional Budget Office said was going to happen. It's way more than that, with no end in sight. No, it's going to bankrupt the nation. Continue to do this. Republicans are never going to do it. And the Democrats knew that, but tried to ram it through anyway, knowing the government was going to shut down. So Trump is holding firm. There's going to have to be some kind of accommodation made. I don't know what it is, but I'm still confident that will happen. But I'm going to tell you at the end of the program, I got to fly this week. I'm not confident that plane's going to get off the ground. All right, the second one was about high prices. Now, this is the most important thing for the Trump administration right now, because they have to hold next year in the midterms Congress. Roll tape.
I inherited the worst inflation in history of our country. We don't have inflation. We're down to 2%, even less than 2%. A couple of items like beef, I'm getting down. But our groceries are down.
Healthcare premiums?
I can fix healthcare. Give them better health care for less money. Obamacare is hurting people. Obamacare was a disaster from day one. I can fix it and make it good. I'd really rather start with a fresh plate, but if it's required to keep it, we can make it much better.
That's a good answer, okay, because if fiscally Obamacare is out of control. Not that the Democrats care about that. They don't care, because they want the government to run health care. That's the goal. Yes, bankrupt Obamacare. Bankrupt it. And then the feds will have to take over the whole system. You know what that will lead to? And I'll get into this tomorrow. That will lead to a two-tier healthcare system in America, because doctors will just get out and go into concierge treatments. So the wealthy people, the affluent people, will have their private doctor. They'll pay more for it. And everybody else will be left with physician's assistants and RNs and all of this, because most of the doctors, they're gone. They're not going to do this government-run stuff. It happened in England. If you're wealthy, you're not in the public health system in Great Britain. You're not. You hired your own doctor. That's exactly what will happen here. That the poor working and the working people get much less in the medical area if the government runs everything. All right, the third one was the most controversial story right now about undocumented migrants and how ICE is tracking them down.
We have a lot of good people, and we've accepted all of these people because of Biden's open border policy, where people would walk in totally unchecked and unvetted, murder let into our country.
I'd say 15, but as the president said later on, it doesn't really matter, 15, 25. The worst public policy ever in this country was the open border, totally engineered by one man. That was President Biden. Can I be any more clear than that? What a dereliction of duty. What? Oh. All right. Some advice for the Trump administration here from your humble correspondent. A heavy hand when you're not sure of criminality. So there's an ICE raid. You're not sure who you got. A heavy hand is not what you want. You got to protect yourself. Criminal alien, you have a warrant, you know it's a person, then you go. But if it's some woman or a child or something like that who just happens to be in the vicinity, lighter touch. Okay. Supreme Court and tariffs. Huge story for all of us because it will affect the American economy. Roll tape. Maybe. Because if the Supreme Court were to rule that the President of the United States does not have the power to impose tariffs without congressional approval, stock market get down 5,000 points in one day. That will happen. So, and the Supreme Court are deliberating on this right now. I'll make a prediction right here on November 3rd that the Supreme Court will uphold the president's right to unilaterally, that means by himself, slap tariffs on foreign nations. It almost has to. Because just what Donald Trump said, you'll blow up the whole system. That's how reliant we are now on this new trade situation. Okay. Finally, China, which you know I am deeply involved with this. Here, Nora O'Donnell, this was good. So most of her questions were predictable, not backed up by facts. She didn't seem to have command of both sides of the story. She's taken a liberal line. And Ms. O'Donnell is a liberal, as I wrote in a message of the day on BillO'Reilly.com. But that's okay. She's not a bad person. She's not corrupt. I know her. She's not. There's some of them that are horrible. But she's liberal, and she takes that line. But here, she asked a very good question about China. Good. That's exactly the way I feel. And you got to get along with these people. All right, summing up, number one, was that a fair assessment of the 60-minute interview? If I'm unfair, I want you to tell me. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. All right? To me, I didn't learn anything. So I'm sitting there going, come on. I'm hoping that I can secure an interview with President Trump before the end of the year. That's my goal. He knows that we would like it. We were supposed to do it, but then he got the Hamas stuff going on and had to go over with the hostages. Now, if I get it, I'm going to really be under pressure, right? So, but boy, it'll be interesting. And that's the memo. Imagine getting your medication from a pharmacy that actually makes your life easier. No more tracking down a doctor or waiting in line. All Family Pharmacy handles it all for you. Consultations, prescriptions, fulfillment, and shipping. As we head into the holidays, fall allergies, sinus infections, cold and flu are all around us. Now's the time to stay ahead. All Family Pharmacy is by your side, helping you prepare with your meds for the entire family. From antibiotics to antivirals and ivermectin to blood pressure meds and more. Whether it's for daily use, emergencies, or trusted off-label options, they make it simple. Licensed doctors review every order for safety, and everything ships right to your door. So please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. Again, that's allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill, code BILL10. Joining us now from the city, Miranda Devine, columnist from the New York Post. The Post has been 100% against Mamdani from the very beginning. Miss Devine has a very popular podcast, Podforce One. She interviewed a lot of the Trump administration, including the president himself. All right, so look, it's all established that you and your newspaper, and you hate Mamdani, you don't want him, he's destructive, and all of that. There's an old adage that says you hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. You live in New York City, Miranda. Have you made any plans or adjustments of what you might do in your life should Mamdani become the mayor?
Not really. I mean, we've lived through de Blasio when the city visibly went downhill very quickly. And then, of course, the pandemic when it became like the night of the living dead with a whole lot of zombie drug-affected, mentally ill people wandering the streets and a whole lot of inmates released from Rikers Island. And then, of course, we had a whole bunch of illegal migrants placed in hotels all around Midtown. So it's been, pretty willing for the last, almost since I arrived here back in early 2019. So I think that we're expecting, if Mamdani wins, that things will go south slowly. I mean, already the NYPD is a shadow of its former self. You can just tell from the fact that there are so many women, so many small police officers who just stand around reading their phones. Now, Jessica Tisch, who's the very good NYPD commissioner after a series of upheavals, Mamdani was forced into saying that he would probably keep her on, which is one
She's
bright
not
spot.
she's not going to stay.
Well, he knows that she's going to be his foe in the next election. So I don't think he's going to want to keep her on anyway. So I'm sure he'll make life miserable for her. And you know, that's the last piece of good news that we have about keeping the NYPD together. And I must say, under Eric Adams, things started to look up on the crime front. But you know, Mamdani is on record. He's pretending now and that he didn't really mean it, or he's changed his mind. And
Yeah. Well, we
but
know that he doesn't want to prosecute criminals because he believes society is at fault, not them. But you say you haven't made any plans or thought about. So I have family members who live in New York City. And I said, look, if this guy comes in within 6 months, you're going to have a frightening rise of street crime because the people committing the street crime aren't even going to be arrested. I wouldn't be surprised if the 911 system collapses because there's not enough police now. And the police that are going to stay, many of them will leave, are going to be reactive. They're not going to be aggressive. They're not going to be running out there as fast as they can run out there because he's going to have civilian review boards that are anti-police. And if a cop makes a mistake, all right, defends himself or herself, he's right in front of the board. And you can sue the cops if you're a thug or anybody. Who's going to do that? No one. So I'm telling my family members, look, you're going to go out at night. You're going to have to go out 3 or 4. You can't go out by yourself. That's number one that's going to happen. Number two is garbage isn't going to be picked up. Union people are just going to go, you know, every bit of efficiency, and the city is not efficient, okay, is going to go down because this 34-year-old, he doesn't have the organizational capacity to keep it up. It's the largest city in the country, 8.5 million people. All right. And you know who's going to get it worse? The poor. The people who are voting for Mamdani are going to get it the worst. So
they're not actually voting for him. They're voting for Cuomo.
Well, you're going to see, though,
liberal women and young people who are voting for Mamdani. And the majority doesn't want him.
You're going to see immigrants, people born overseas, which is now 50% of the New York City electorate, vote for Mamdani. You'll see in the exit polling. Okay, they're going to get it the worst.
1 million Muslims will, yes, because he's gone out to buy that vote.
As a New York Post columnist, and your beat is the city, do you believe that the people voting for Mamdani are stupid?
No, I'll tell you the way I see it. First of all, he's got the Muslim vote locked up because he's appealed to them specifically on identity grounds. He's gone to, you know, mosques and cuddled up with this radical imam who gave character testimony to the blind sheikh who was the mastermind of the first World Trade Center bombing. He's made he's not even bothered hiding his affinity with radical Islam. So that's number one. And then you've got young people. And I mean, in a way, I can forgive them for their stupidity because, you know, they haven't been taught any history. They haven't read your books. They've gone to university and been brainwashed. And not only that, as Democrat voters, they have been betrayed. And I don't really blame them for being angry. They look at Washington, D.C. They were lied to about Joe Biden. They see a gerontocracy has taken over their party establishment. And so it's just natural for them to feel they've been priced out. They have this Pied Piper, Mamdani, comes along and says to them, you know, sort of taps into their grievance about the party and says, follow me and I will make your life affordable. And he makes these airy promises. There's no way he can fulfill any of them, but they're angry with the establishment, so they're going to go with a generational part. And then you've got just the crazy, rich, liberal elite, including a lot of Jews, which, as someone said, is like chickens voting for KFC. But they, you know, are going to vote. The polls show, we've seen interviews with them, I've talked to them. They love Mamdani. And they see him as sort of the antidote to Donald Trump and a reinvigoration of the Democratic Party and the way of the future.
Do you see, and that's a very good analysis you just gave the rest of the nation that doesn't live here, do you see an anti-Trump vote in the New York mayoral situation?
Yes, certainly in that liberal boomer demographic, the wealthy elites. You know, Trump derangement is very strong here in New York. And there's a big cohort of conservative voters, and Donald Trump increased his vote last election. And I mean, every county has turned a little red. And to the point where Elise Stefanik, who seems to be running for governor, she may have a chance where Lee Zeldin did not. But still, the majority, I mean, Manhattan or New York City is something like 70% plus Democrat voters. And I would say, you know, more than half of those are Trump deranged.
Yeah, and the younger ones, of course. All right, Miranda, thank you very much. Nice segment. We appreciate you taking the time. I hope we can talk again soon.
Thanks, Bill.
Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or place in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of five-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. When you're buried in credit card and loan debt, it's easy to put it off and say, I'll deal with it later. But here's the thing. Done with Debt has a little-known strategy that can dramatically reduce or even erase what you owe. This fall, they will aggressively engage your lenders because they know rich credit card and loan companies are doing year-end accounting and cutting deals to clear debt fast, meaning you need to start with Done with Debt right now, this fall. They can help end your debt fast without bankruptcy or loans. In fact, most clients have more money in their pocket the first month. So get started while you still have time. Go to donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their specialists for free. Visit donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com. All right, final thought. As you know, I will be off tomorrow in California doing the Mars show on HBO. That will be Friday night, 10 p.m. HBO Real Time at Bill Maher. I'll be on there. I've been on there a long time. Interesting to see. Then I'll be on Howie Mandel's podcast. I think Howie's hysterical myself. That'll be Tuesday. Also Tuesday, November 11th, 10 p.m., News Nation, a special on American generals for Veterans Day. The best and the not so good. Here's a clip.
Would the guy who showed up as a plebe thinking he was the reincarnation of Alexander the Great be happy with this statue?
Yes, Patton did have a sense of the dramatic past and believed in reincarnation and felt that he was some sense of a historic military figure.
He wanted to go down in history, and he has, as the ultimate fighting man, the ultimate brave vanquisher of evil.
And it occurred to me how very fortunate you are. We crushed the Germans before he got here.
Vain, flamboyant, but he was committed to his troops, and he's going to make sure that American soldiers know they can win and have the confidence to do that.
But for all his bravado and brilliance, fighting first through North Africa, then Sicily, Patton was equally bad at the political and diplomatic aspects of military leadership. You said Patton, as audacious and tactically brilliant as he might be, is too unpredictable to be given command of all American ground forces.
Right.
It was an opinion shared by Patton's boss, Supreme Allied Commander Ike Eisenhower.
Eisenhower knows he needs Patton, but he also knows that Patton's totally out of his blanket mind on Thursday and Sunday. Okay, it depends on the day of the week. He's also got Omar Bradley, who Eisenhower really likes, because Bradley was just like him. So we run down Patton and Pershing, World War I, Custer, Civil War generals, modern day generals, and we rank them. Who's good, who's bad. And it's fascinating documentary. Again, that will be Tuesday, November 11th, News Nation, 10 p.m. You're going to like it. A lot of it. And I'm going to tell you the best American general in history was. You'll be surprised. And it's not Eisenhower because he never fought in a battle. Supreme Allied Commander never fought on the battlefield. Anyway, we thank you for watching and listening to this post-election edition of the No Spin News. Again, I think it's the best analysis, but you let me know. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town. We will see you on Monday, brand new column on Sunday. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.